What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 70. We have Nikita Krylov going against Ryan Spann.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down another card here at the Apex in UFC Vegas 70. I'll say it right now, I'm actually looking forward to this card a lot more than I was last week. I think this main card is really good. Compared to last week's where we had Zach Palga, Jordan Wright in the co-main event. We had William Knight go out there and forget how to fight. But this main card, I think, is going to be fire. We have Trevor Peek open up the main card with Erick Gonzalez. That's going to be a banger. We got Mike Malott, Yohan Lainesse. We got the return of Tatiana Suarez. We got an actual co-main event this week with Andre Muniz, Brendan Allen. And then, of course, we got this main event, which is going to be good. We have Nikita Krylov, Ryan Spann. So a card that I'm really looking forward to. The prelims, they're whatever. Lots of people making their debut. I think we have 7 fighters making their debut on this card, so it's going to be fun to talk about. Can't wait to break it all down. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you do want to support me more, or if you do want some extra content, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I actually really like this card from a betting perspective, not much from a money line standpoint, but from a prop perspective, and I do have 6 bets already. If you want access to those bets right now at this moment, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Along with that, you get access to the stats I sent out today. You get my full card breakdown and best bet article, which is a full card article where I break down the fight. I give my prediction, the round, the method. I give my best bet for the fight, the confidence rating. So lots of stuff on there that's going to be out on Wednesday this week. And then also access to Discord, Hail Mary Parlay, the prelim parlay, the main card parlay, just lots of other content. So if you do want to support me more, if you do want extra content, be sure to sign up at dfsbythenumbers.com. Other than that, like I said, I'm looking forward to this card. These Apex cards have been a little rough lately, I'd say, in terms of this name value, but luckily, we have UFC 285 next week. I cannot wait for that card. I'll actually be attending UFC 285 next week. So let's get through this card. Let's make some money on this card, and let's enjoy it, because I think this is going to be a card that I think is going to deliver. Last week did not deliver whatsoever, like a rough card, besides that main event and a couple other fights, but just a rough main card last week for Vegas 69. I think this main card is absolutely going to deliver. So I say we get into it right now, and let us start with the first fight on the card. This may change because they've been changing it on me like the last several days, but right now we have the first fight on the card, which is going to be Jose Johnson going against Garrett Armfield. So we shall start with Garrett Armfield, who is 26 years old, 5'6" with a 70-inch reach, 8-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jose Johnson, 27 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach, 15-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and we see that, if I can find it, and I found it. So we have Garrett Armfield opened up minus 150, and he is currently sitting at minus 145, and then Jose Johnson opened up plus 130, and he's currently sitting at plus 125. So what sticks out to me right away is the frame of Jose Johnson. This guy is 135-pound bantamweight, right? He is 6 foot. I mean, you don't see that. I mean, this guy is huge for the division. In this fight specifically, he's going to have a 6-inch height advantage. And what's weird about Jose Johnson is he's this long, lanky guy, but the power he possesses at this weight class is insane. I mean, I went back and watched a good amount of this guy's fights, and he's going out there and he's starching guys like bad. Like, he's knocking guys out so bad that they're not getting up for minutes. There's this one fight where it's going all over Twitter where somebody shot him for a takedown. He landed a nice elbow to the side of the head. The guy looked like, I don't know, it was bad. It was actually hard to watch. And then there's this other fight where he just completely knocked this guy out, and the guy didn't get up for like 5 minutes. So Jose Johnson possesses a ton of power. This guy is super dangerous. I saw him get some submissions as well, so just dangerous everywhere the fight goes. So I get why Garrett Armfield is the favorite here. There's a big gaping hole in the game of Jose Johnson, and that big gaping hole is the takedown defense. This guy Johnson he's got to have some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this guy's getting taken down with no resistance whatsoever at all. So Garrett Armfield, is going to be able to go out there and get takedowns. The thing with Jose Johnson, though, and it looks like he's been working on this, when he's getting taken down, he's able to stand back up pretty easily, right? So that's good. But man, he's getting taken down so easily. So I could see a path where Armfield is able to mix in takedowns, win minutes, and I think that's why a lot of people would be picking Armfield this week. But man, the power of Jose Johnson, the get-up game. I like the get-up game. And I think when this fight's on the feet, both guys are live for the knockout, but I really like the power of Jose Johnson. And another thing is, Armfield's been submitted in a good amount of his fights. He's been submitted twice. He got submitted by David Onama in the second round. I wouldn't be shocked if Armfield was able to lock something up on the mat as well. So my official prediction for this fight is going to be Jose Johnson by knockout, I'll say in the second round. But this is an absolute banger to kick off the card. I'm hoping they keep this fight as the first fight of the night to set the tone for this card, because this fight's going to be awesome. I like both guys here, but the pick is going to be Jose Johnson, and Jose Johnson by second round knockout. All right. Some of these prelims, like I said, a lot of newcomers here, and this is going to be the first newcomer. We have Hailey Cowan going against Ailin Perez. I believe it's Cowan, actually. Cowan, she is 31 years old, 5'8", with a 69.5-inch reach, 7-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Ailin Perez, 28 years old, 5'5", with a 66-inch reach, 7-2 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Cowan. She actually opened up as a dog, plus 130, and she's currently sitting at minus 125. And then Perez opened up minus 150, and she is currently sitting at plus 105. Yeah, don't have a ton of interest in this fight, to be honest. The thing that does stick out to me in watching the tape of Cowan is I believe she had like a gymnastics background. She's a very athletic fighter, and she's huge for the division. 5'8". I wouldn't be shocked if she's even like taller than that. Like, she's towering over a lot of her opponents, and she's going to be much bigger in this matchup as well. I also like the fact that Cowan is very physically strong. She's hard to take down, but when she is taken down, she can't be stuck on her back. So Perez, if she's able to get this fight down to the mat, I think she can have some success. I just think that's going to be a lot easier said than done. Cowan seems to be making some rapid improvements as well. So yeah, if Cowan's able to use that physicality, keep this on the feet, maybe mix in a takedown herself, I think she wins this fight. So I see why the line flipped here. I do slightly lean with Cowan, but there are some serious concerns in the game of Cowan, and that is going to be once she is on her back, she can't be stuck there. But like I said, I like the physicality. I like the size that she brings to the table as well. So give me Cowan to win this fight. I'm not high on Ailin Perez. I'm not even sure if she's UFC caliber. She's not fought the best competition. When she did fight somebody good in Stephanie Yeager, she got submitted in that fight. But yeah, I'll take Cowan to win by decision. I think it could be a close fight. I really can. I think both fighters can definitely have their moments here. It's not a fight you can be overly confident in, but I'll take Cowan to win this fight, and I'll take her to win it by decision. All right, moving on. We have a very good fight. Looking forward to this one. We have another newcomer. We're going to hear that a lot this week. We have Nurullo, Aliev going against Rafael Alves. We got Aliev, 23 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach, 8-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Rafael Alves, 32 years old, 5'8", with a 68-inch reach, 20-11, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. Aliev opened up minus 210, currently minus 180. Rafael Alves opened up plus 180, currently plus 155. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I think Aliev is a guy that he's young. He's only 23 years old. He's not fought the best competition. I don't think it's a complete fraud, anything like that. I actually really like the guy's skill set. I think his wrestling is not the greatest wrestling in the world, but he's active in terms of trying to get takedowns against the cage, and when he does get you down, you're not getting up. Another thing I like about Aliev is when he's on top, he's very active. He's nonstop at the ground and pound, and it's weird. The guy's not a finisher whatsoever. He has only a 20% finish rate. I think maybe two wins by finish, but he's cutting these guys up. I mean, he's blooding these guys up, landing a bunch of ground and pound, very active with it. So yeah, I like the game of Aliev. Those finishes haven't came thus far, but I think they're going to start coming as he gets older, as he starts improving, as he starts working with better guys like he has been as of late. So yeah, I think there's a pretty big ceiling here on Aliev. As far as Rafael Alves, he's 32 years old. This guy is, I don't know, the definition of a killer be killed fighter. This is a guy that's been finished like 9 times, which is, I think it might be even more than 9. I think it's like 9 or 10 times Rafael Alves has been finished. Yeah, I think it's 10. So he's been finished a ton throughout his career. A lot of those finishes were early on in his career, but he's been finished like 10 times nonetheless. So I don't really like to see that. The only time he was not finished though was against Damir Ismagulov, but then again, Damir Ismagulov's not finishing anybody. So it's kind of a clash of styles where everybody's finishing Rafael Alves, but Aliev's not really been able to finish anybody. So I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out. The thing with Rafael Alves, this guy is super dangerous early on. This first round is going to be a storm that Aliev's going to have to weather. Rafael Alves is dangerous everywhere. On the feet, he has a ton of power. And then on the mat, he's very dangerous. He has that guillotine. So when Aliev does shoot in for takedowns, he's going to have to watch his neck. He's going to have to mind his P's and Q's. But we did see Damir Ismagulov kind of lay out the blueprint on how to beat this guy. And that's taken him down. And once Alves is on his back, he doesn't really offer much. You can be stuck there, and Aliev is content with just taking you down and controlling you for 15 minutes, right? So I think Aliev is the real deal. I don't think we have like an Ash Kebab situation where last week where the guy was 23, nothing like that. I think Aliev does have a solid ceiling at only 23 years old, but he's going to have to weather that early storm. If you like Alves, you probably take him in the first round, but if Aliev is able to get through that first round, I think he starts to take over. I think he starts to wear on Rafael Alves, and I actually think he gets him out of there. I'm going to say third round TKO for Nurullo Aliev. I like this guy. I'm going to pick him to win by third round TKO here, but the first round is going to be, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see if Alves can catch him early. Alves almost caught Damir Ismagulov. Like, Alves knocked down Damir Ismagulov within like the first 20 seconds, and I was terrified because I had a lot of money on Ismagulov in that fight. So Alves is dangerous. He really is, but he's dangerous for about a round. So give me the guy that I think has more ways to win, and give me the guy that I think can fight the full 15 minutes if need be. And that's not Rafael Alves. So give me Aliev to win, and give me Aliev to win by third round TKO. All right, let us move on to the next fight. Another newcomer, Joe Solecki, going against the newcomer, Carl Deaton III. We got Joe Solecki, 29 years old, 5'9", with a 70.5-inch reach, 12-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Carl Deaton, 33 years old, 5'6", with a 67-inch reach, 17-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds. We have Joe Solecki here as the second biggest favorite on the card. We got Joe Solecki opening up minus 450, currently minus 550. Carl Deaton, opening up plus 350. Currently plus 400. And first of all, what's going on? What's going on with Deaton's haircut? One of the most unique haircuts I've seen in some time, but it works for him, I suppose. But in this matchup, I think it's a tough one for him. So Deaton was training for a fight. I think that fight was actually supposed to be either this upcoming weekend or the weekend after. So there's no doubt in my mind that Deaton's going to be prepared for this fight in terms of being in shape and all that. But hard to prepare for a guy like Joe Solecki. I mean, Joe Solecki, he's fought the much better competition here. One thing that sticks out is that size. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, a 3.5-inch reach advantage as well. But, Joe Solecki, his bread and butter is that grappling. If he's able to get this fight down to the mat, it's going to be a world of trouble for Carl Deaton. The thing with Deaton is, on the feet, I wasn't too impressed. He's pretty low volume, but he has good offensive wrestling, and he uses that offensive wrestling. He actually has finished the majority of his fights by submission as well. So, Deaton's not a terrible grappler, nothing like that, but Joe Solecki is another level above this guy in the grappling. I mean, Joe Solecki's grappling is incredible, and there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be able to get down to Carl Deaton. Deaton's takedown defense is not good. He can be taken down very easily, actually, and if Joe Solecki takes you down, it's probably a wrap. So I like Joe Solecki in this matchup quite a bit. The odds obviously back that up. He's a really big favorite, but I think Joe Solecki goes out there. I think he submits Carl Deaton, and I think he does it early as well. I just don't see Carl Deaton surviving on the mat with Joe Solecki. Joe Solecki's fought the much better guys as of late. This is a big step down for Joe Solecki. Like, for example, Joe Solecki was supposed to fight Benoit Saint-Denis, an absolute killer in this division, right? Carl Deaton is not Benoit Saint-Denis, or not even close to it. So I like Joe Solecki here. I think he finishes Carl Deaton. I think he subs him in the very first round. Should be a fun fight, though, for as long as it lasts. All right. Next, we have two guys that we know, finally, no newcomers in this matchup. We got Charles Johnson going against Ode Osbourne. We got Charles Johnson, 32 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach, 13-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Ode Osbourne, 31 years old, 5'7", with a 72-inch reach, 11-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So let's take a look at these odds. We have Charles Johnson as the favorite, opening up minus 160, currently minus 155. Ode Osbourne opening up plus 140. Currently plus 135. So Johnson is stepping in here on short notice, but that does not worry me really at all. He's done it before. He's a guy that just seems like he stays ready, right? So, yeah, I like Charles Johnson. He had that really good matchup in his last fight against Jimmy Flick where he cashed a nice under for me, and he went out there and got a TKO win against Jimmy Flick. Good performance there. Kind of a robbery win against Zhalga Zhumagulov, but that's a typical Zhalga Zhumagulov fight for you. Ode Osbourne, I'm not sure how I feel about this guy. I'm not sure, where he's at, because there's some fights where he goes out there and he looks solid, he looks dangerous, he has power. And then there's some fights where he goes out there and he looks bad. I mean, he got knocked out by a 40-year-old Tyson Nam in his last fight as a pretty big favorite. That fight against Cedric Vergara did not look good as the fight went on as well. He got knocked out by Manal Cobb. I mean, I'm just not really sure where Ode Osbourne's at. I like his skill set. I mean, this guy is pretty big for the division, although Charles Johnson's going to be a little bit bigger than him in this matchup. But yeah, the guy's long, the guy's rangy, he has a 72-inch reach, he has power, he's dangerous. The takedown defense is not the best in the world, but he has a really good ground game off his back. I've seen him get multiple submissions off his back as well. Hasn't really translated to the UFC, though. I just feel like this is a matchup where it's going to play out on the feet. Although I think Ode Osbourne has actually a really good grappling game, he just doesn't use it much. I mean, he's used it a little bit outside the UFC, but we see inside the UFC, he's not really trying to take anybody down. I guess he tried to take down Cedric Vergara a couple times, but was unsuccessful. So this is a fight I think plays out on the feet, and on the feet, I favor Charles Johnson, not by like a wide margin, nothing like that, but I think Charles Johnson has more tools on the feet. I think he's going to be higher volume. Might be Ode landing the bigger shots, but as the fight goes on, Charles Johnson gets better and better as that fight goes on, whereas it's the complete opposite for Ode. Ode has a really good first round, and then he kind of slows down as the fight goes on. At one point, like Ode Osbourne had not been out of the first round in like 9 or 10 fights. So now when we see he's getting out of that first round, he didn't look good against Cedric Vergara. So I'm going to say Johnson wins this fight, but I think it'll actually be pretty close here. Charles Johnson is a slow starter, but he did make kind of an emphasis in his last fight. I heard an interview where he wanted to start fast against Jimmy Flick, and he did, and look what happened. He got the first round KO. I'm hoping he starts a little bit faster here. If he does, he can put a pace on Ode Osbourne, a pace that I don't think Osbourne's able to keep up. And as long as, Charles Johnson doesn't get flatlined in the first round, I think this is a winnable fight for him. And the thing I like about Charles Johnson is the dude just next level durable. 16 fights, he's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted, so I don't see Ode finishing him early, and if I don't, I see Ode kind of falling off as the fight goes on. And I know it's weird to say because Charles Johnson's coming in here on short notice, but like I said, I think he's very prepared for this matchup. So give me Charles Johnson to win. I'll take him to win by decision, maybe like a late finish, but I'll say decision win here for Charles Johnson. All right. Next, we have another newcomer here in Victor Martinez. He's going to be taking on Jordan Leavitt. We'll start with Martinez here. So Martinez is 31 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach, 13-4, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jordan Leavitt, 27 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 10-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Closely lined fight. I think it's the closest, or it's about the closest line fight on the card. We have Victor Martinez opening up plus 105, currently minus 125. Jordan Leavitt opening up minus 125, currently plus 105. So, yeah, I like these matchups because we got a striker versus grappler matchup. The striker in Victor Martinez versus the grappler in Jordan Leavitt. On the feet, Victor Martinez is going to have the advantage. It's clear as day. Victor Martinez, what I like about him, he has solid power, but it's the volume. Like, this guy can put up a ton of volume. He'll walk forward. He'll have no concerns of anything coming his way against Jordan Leavitt. Jordan Leavitt, we know his striking style at this point. Just awkward striking where he's just, throwing those kicks. He has that awkward striking defense, which I think it throws opponents off guard at times. But, Victor Martinez is going to have the clear striking advantage here. The problem with Victor Martinez in this matchup, and this is a big problem for me. I mean, I went and watched every fight I could of Martinez, and I want to say like every fight I watched of Martinez, he was getting taken down easily. I think his takedown defense is not great. But what's even more concerning about Victor Martinez is just the mistakes he's making on the mat. Like, this guy's getting put into dominant positions. He's getting his back taken. He exposes his back in every fight. I mean, I don't think I saw a fight where he didn't go out there and expose his back. Like, so he's giving up his back. And if he gives up his back to Jordan Leavitt, I mean, that's a wrap, right? So sure, Martinez could maybe knock out Leavitt on the feet, but if this fight hits the mat, it should be Leavitt's world. As you guys may know, I'm not the biggest fan of Jordan Leavitt. I think I've picked against him in the majority of his fights outside of the Matt Wyman fight, but I think it's a winnable matchup for him. I really do. I think Jordan Leavitt has the wrestling to take this guy down, and he absolutely has the grappling to submit Victor Martinez as well. So I like Jordan Leavitt here. As far as betting on this fight, I think I'm okay. But as far as a pick, I will take Jordan Leavitt to win by submission. I just did not like what I saw from the grappling defense of Victor Martinez, the way he exposes his back, the way he gets taken down. And for what it's worth, Victor Martinez has been submitted twice before. Those fights were a few years ago, but still he's been submitted twice nonetheless, and I can see why. I mean, this guy's making mistakes nonstop on the mat, and I think a guy in Jordan Leavitt can absolutely capitalize on those mistakes. So, interesting fight here, but I'm going to take Jordan Leavitt to win this one. I'm going to take him to win by first round submission. All right, next we have Gabriella Fernandes going against Jasmine Jasudavicius. We'll start with Jasmine here. Jasmine, she's 33 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 7-2, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Gabriella Fernandes, she is 29 years old, 5'6", with a 67.5-inch reach, 8-1, and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We see that Fernandes opened up plus 145 as a dog. She's now minus 130. Jasmine opened up minus 170, currently plus 110, and I think people are very low on Jasmine Jasudavicius right now. They were really high on her. Like, people were hyping this girl up. But she dropped the ball in her last fight as a big favorite. I want to say she was like minus 270 against Natalia Silva in her last fight. People put her in the parlays and all that, and she got dominated in that fight. But, this is a matchup where on the feet, it's kind of like the last matchup. Like, on the feet, it's Fernandes all day. I mean, Fernandes, her striking is really good. Lots of power. I love the kick she brings to the table. Jasmine's going to have nothing for Fernandes on the feet at all. It's not going to be close. But, Fernandes can be taken down, and that's going to be a path to victory for Jasmine, who she's good at wrestling. I mean, that's her thing. She can get fights down to the mat when she wants to. She wasn't able to take down Natalia Silva, but, Natalia Silva is a really good fighter. I'm just not 100% sure if Fernandes is the real deal or not. We're going to find out, but I'm not sure if she is. So, again, it's a tough matchup to call. I mean, these odds are close for a reason, but I think I'm going to side with Jasmine Jasudavicius just because I've seen Fernandes taken down. I've seen her stuck on her back. She's making her debut. I think I'm gonna take Jasmine here to win this one by decision. Low confidence, but I'm gonna take Jasmine for the upset. All right, next we're going to kick off this main card. And like I said earlier, this main card is going to be good. I think it's going to be very good. A lot better than last week's. We have Trevor Peek, Erick Gonzalez kicking us off here. We will start with Trevor Peek, who is 28 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach, 7-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Erick Gonzalez, 31 years old, 5'11", 75-inch reach, 14-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Really enjoyed watching the film on Trevor Peek. I don't even know how to explain this guy's style because there's like nothing like it. Like, he's like a Justin Gaethje type, like a Terrence McKinney type. Like, he's one of those guys where he has no regards for his own safety in there. I mean, he's swinging wild, showing no striking defense whatsoever, but this guy is fun. He has power. He has some wrestling. His cardio looks to be solid, but he's going out there and just trying to take these guys' heads off, which, yeah, I like this guy. I like this guy. Went out there, got a finish on the Contender Series in his last fight. Looked a little bit rough early. Showed, once again, poor striking defense, and that's going to be a concern going forward. But, this guy's fun. This guy's exciting. This guy wants to go in there and fight. He's a fighter. Erick Gonzalez, kind of the same thing. I mean, I think this fight's going to be kind of a car crash here. Erick Gonzalez has no problem going in there and going to war, and that's like Trevor Peek's whole thing. Like, he's down to go in there and brawl. So this is going to be a brawl. I think somebody's getting served in this one and getting served pretty early. But I got to go with Trevor Peek. I have serious concerns, though, about this guy's striking defense. Like, on the Contender Series, small sample size, don't get me wrong, but he showed like a 32% striking defense, and you can see it like outside the UFC as well, or outside the Contender Series. He's getting pieced up pretty bad. Striking defense is not there, so we're going to have to worry about that going forward. But, kind of the same thing with, Gonzalez. Gonzalez has no striking defense as well. He has like a 41% striking defense so far in a couple fights. So both guys hittable, Both guys dangerous, but I think the more dangerous guy, the guy with more power is going to be Trevor Peek. We have seen Erick Gonzalez knocked out before by Jim Miller, which honestly not the best look in the world, considering, that was the first guy ever to knock him out was Jim Miller. I was kind of expecting sub because he has been submitted a good amount of times. I think Gonzalez has been submitted 3 times, but yeah, he's been finishing 4 of his 7 losses. I'm going to say Trevor Peek goes in there, has a fun and exciting fight, stands and bangs with this guy, and eventually connects on that chin and knocks him out. I mean, the Jim Miller fight was not a good look to me. So give me Trevor Peek to win. Trevor Peek to win by first round knockout. But I don't know. We'll have to see going forward. But I'm not sure how I feel about Trevor Peek, but the guy's exciting. I'll say that. And so is Erick Gonzalez. This is going to be a very fun fight. It's probably my favorite fight on the entire card. One of my favorite fights for sure. But yeah, give me Trevor Peek to win this one. Trevor Peek to win by first round KO. All right, next we have another fun fight. We got Mike Malott going against Yohan Lainesse. We will start with Mike Malott, who is 31 years old, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach, 8-1, 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Yohan Lainesse, 30 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach, 9-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We have 2 Canadians going at it. And I heard an interview with Mike Malott, and apparently Mike Malott and Yohan Lainesse have trained together before. So this should be a very interesting fight. We'll take a look at the odds here. We see that Mike Malott is the favorite, opened up minus 235, currently minus 210. Yohan Lainesse opened up plus 200, currently plus 180. So this is a weird matchup. We have Mike Malott. This guy has 10 fights. He has been to decision once, and it was a draw. He has been to the second round once. He's been knocked out before. He got knocked out a while back, though. I think it was like 2013, 2014 by Hakeem Dawodu. But he has 8 finishes, all 8 of those in the first round. So this guy's not seen a second round in like 8 years. So that's something to note. Yohan Lainesse is a guy that he was going out there starching guys in the first round. This guy has a lot of power. But we saw in his last fight, he just completely changed his style up. He went out there and, for lack of better terms, he almost pulled a William Knight. He went out there and did really not anything in that week's fight, and I thought he lost the fight. I thought it was pretty clear that he lost the fight. He didn't do much. He didn't land much. He got outlanded in that fight, but the judges gave it to him. Maybe he landed the harder shots in that matchup, but he went out there and got outlanded like almost 2-1 in that matchup against Weeks. So Yohan Lainesse landed only 23 strikes. 23 strikes in a 15-minute fight, in a fight that played out on the feet for the majority of the time. He landed only 13 in the first round, only 5 in the second round, and then only 5 in the third round. Like, those are borderline like William Knight numbers. So there's like 2 versions of this guy. There's a guy in Lainesse who sometimes he goes out there and tries to take your head off, which I would recommend here. I really would. And then there's a guy in Yohan Lainesse who goes out there and doesn't want to fight, it looks like. But he won the fight in his last fight, which, again, I don't know how he won that fight, but he won that fight by only landing 23 strikes. So what I like about Mike Malott is he's not going to go out there like a Darian Weeks, stick to the outside. Mike Malott's going to get in this guy's face. He's going to make him work. He's going to try to knock him out. He's going to try to take him down. He's going to try to get him out of there. And that is going to force Yohan Lainesse to work. It's going to force him to do things. He's not going to be able to stick on the outside and do nothing. Mike Malott's going to make him work, and that's kind of what Mike Malott was talking about in his interview, how he's got to make this guy work. If you make him work, he's going to gas out. I mean, he always gasses out, besides that week's fight, because he didn't do anything. So, but man, Mike Malott, this guy's hittable. There's not a lot of footage on this guy because he never fights, first of all, and second of all, when he does fight, the fights end in like 2 minutes. So I don't know. This is a very sketchy one. Like, Yohan Lainesse, he has a lot of power. He could absolutely knock out Mike Malott in the first round. But, I think Mike Malott just has more ways to win. I think he's going to be the higher volume fighter. I think Mike Malott can also knock out Yohan Lainesse. And if this fight hits the mat, it's Mike Malott all day. Mike Malott is an incredible grappler. And I have a feeling it might hit the mat here. So another fight where I think it's going to be kind of a car crash here. And I think Mike Malott is going to lead this car crash and make Yohan Lainesse kind of fight his fight And when he does that, that's going to leave Mike Malott some openings to get hit, to get clipped. But that's also going to allow Mike Malott to pressure this guy, make him work, and kind of break him like we saw, was it Gabe Green do against Lainesse. Gabe Green started pressuring him, and once he started pressuring him, he didn't like it. He got finished. So I'm going to take Mike Malott to win this fight. All his finishes come in the first round. I'll say this one comes in the first round, but this is going to be a fun one, man. This is going to be a fun fight. Give me Mike Malott to win this one by first round submission. Let me say club and sub for Mike Malott. But yeah, I think he does get Yohan Lainesse out of there. But I think somebody gets out of there, and probably early as well. All right, next we have the return. The return of Tatiana Suarez, and she's going to be taking on Montana De La Rosa. We'll start with Tatiana Suarez here, who is 32 years old, 5'5", with a 66-inch reach, 8-0, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Montana De La Rosa, 28 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 12-7 and 1, and 2-2-1 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Tatiana Suarez, you guessed it, she's the biggest favorite on the card, opening at -700, currently -800. Montana De La Rosa opened up +500, currently +550. So, yeah, we have not seen Tatiana Suarez in a very long time. The last time we saw Tatiana Suarez fight was 3 years and 8 months ago against Nina Antarov, now Nina Nunes. Prior to that, we saw her go out there and beat the crap out of Carla Esparza and TKO'd her. That was 4 years and 5 months ago. So I'll say this. If Tatiana Suarez shows up to this fight and looks anything like she did against Carla Esparza, where, I don't know, she made Carla Esparza look like she didn't even belong in the UFC. I mean, and that's Carla Esparza, who's fought for a title, right? She made Carla Esparza look like she didn't even belong. Just taking her down multiple times, getting on top, just beating her up, and eventually finishing her. If that Tatiana Suarez shows up, if she's made improvements over this layoff, and I don't know if she did or not, because she's been battling injuries. She's been battling a lot of things outside the cage, but if she shows up and looks anything like she did 4 years ago, I feel bad for Montana De La Rosa, because I like Montana De La Rosa, but if the Tatiana Suarez shows up, it's a wrap. I mean, she's going to take down Montana De La Rosa with no resistance. It's not going to be hard or nothing like that to get her down. And once she's on top, she's nasty, and she's going to really hurt Montana De La Rosa with the ground and pound. She has the submission game, but especially the ground and pound in this matchup. So I'm going to bank on Tatiana Suarez showing up and looking anything like she did a couple years ago. And for that reason, I like Tatiana Suarez here. You know, no surprise, she's a big favorite, but I like her to go out there and finish Montana De La Rosa second round TKO. I think she takes her down at will. I think she wears on her, and I think she really beats her up on the mat and ends up getting that TKO stoppage. So give me Tatiana Suarez to win. Tatiana Suarez TKO. Welcome back, Tatiana Suarez. Can't wait to see where she goes after she goes out there and beats Montana De La Rosa in really, really, really brutal fashion. So give me Tatiana Suarez to get it done. All right. Moving on to probably the worst fight on the main card, but I think this fight's a big step up in terms of heavyweight fight from last week. Last week we had the Josh Parisian, Jamal Pogues fight. This fight we have Augusto Sakai, Dante Alves. Actually somewhat looking forward to this fight, but we will start with Augusto Sakai. He's 31 years old, 6'3", with a 77-inch reach, 15-5-1 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Dante Alves, 31 years old, 6'6", with a 81-inch reach, 9-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So we take a look at the odds. Interesting live movement on this one. So we have Augusto Sakai opened up as the dog at +125, currently -145. Dante Alves opened up as the favorite, -145, currently +125. So this is a spot where a lot of people are down on Sakai, and rightfully so. Sakai has lost his last 4 fights, all by knockout. But these are the spots I really like taking advantage of, where, you know, everybody's down on Sakai, but I mean, look at who he's losing to. I mean, he lost to Alistar Overeem. You know, what would Overeem back in 2020 do to Dante Alves? Even probably now. He lost to Jairzinho Rosenstruck. by knockout. What would Jairzinho Rosenstruck do to Dontel Mays? He lost to Tai Tuivasa by knockout. What would Tai Tuivasa do to Dontel Mays? You see where I'm getting. He lost to Sergey Spivak. My goodness, what would Sergey Spivak do to Dontel Mays? So yes, he's 0-4 in his last 4 fights, but look at who he's losing to. And you take a look at him throughout his career, like he has solid wins. It's not like he's going out there and beating bums. A win over Blagoy Ivanov, a win over Marcin Tybura, a win over Andrei Arlovsky, whereas Dontel Mays, you look at his wins, a win over Josh Parisian, a win over Roik Martinez. Josh Parisian and Roik Martinez. I mean, so this is a pretty big step up for Dontel Mays, honestly, going from Hamdi Abdulwahab, Josh Parisian, Roik Martinez, and it's a massive step down for Augusto Sakai here, going from Spivak, Tuivasa, Rosenstruck, and Overeem, which, by the way, he was a main event for 2 of those fights, I believe. He was in a main event for the Rosenstruck fight, and then a main event for the Overeem fight, 5 rounds. So this guy had some hype. That hype's all gone now. People think he's a bum, and maybe he is, but I think he should beat Dontel Mays, right? Like, Dontel Mays, his path to victory in this matchup is to wrestle. And we have saw that before. We saw Dontel Mays go out there and take down Josh Parisian, and that's the fight that everybody's kind of pointing to. But the problem with that is that's Josh Parisian. That's the kind of problem I have with that. I guess he could. I mean, Sakai, we know it by now. His takedown defense isn't good. His get-up game is not good. When you can take him down, wear on him, he has nothing off his back. So I guess maybe Mays can go out there and take down Sakai, but can we even trust Mays to go out there and do that game plan? I'm not so sure. On the feet, Sakai is the much better striker, has solid power. I think Mays really has nothing for him on the feet outside of maybe landing a big shot. So yeah, I like Sakai here. I mean, it's hard to be confident in a guy that's not won in a long time, but getting this step down, I think it's a get right spot for Sakai. I'm going to take Sakai to knock out Dontel Mays in the second round. Man, kind of a low-level fight, but we'll see what happens. Give me Sakai to win this fight by second round KO, though. All right, co-main event time. We have Andre Muniz going against Brendan Allen. Very good fight here. We'll start with Andre Muniz, who is 33 years old, 6'1" with a 78-inch reach, 23-4, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Brendan Allen, he is 27 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach, 20-5, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Andre Muniz, the favorite, opening up -110 pick'em, currently -1 or -230, and then Brendan Allen opening up a pick'em, currently +195. So I went back and watched some fights for Brendan Allen. Went back and watched the Dawkins fight. Went back and watched the Malkoun fight. Even went back in the day and watched that Giles fight, which was his only submission loss, where Giles kind of beat him up on the ground and eventually subbed him. There's just, I look at Brendan Allen, and there's just fights where he's getting taken down very easily. Like, for example, Kyle Dawkins was able to take him down very easily, I think 3 times. We saw Jacob Malkoun, which there's not really any shame in that, but Malkoun was able to take Brendan Allen down. I think it was like 7 times, yeah. And he's getting out grappled in a lot of these spots. Like, Kyle Dawkins was able to out grapple Brendan Allen. I think Kyle Dawkins won that 3rd round. Dawkins was able to get, I think, 7 minutes and 44 seconds of top control against Brendan Allen. I don't like that. We saw Jacob Malkoun go out there and rack up 7 minutes and 9 seconds of top control. The thing with Andre Muniz is I was high on this guy initially, then I was not high on him, but now I'm high on him again. I think he's kind of evolving, even at his age of 33 years old. Like, he's starting to his wrestling looks much better. Like, he's starting to go out there and hit takedowns, and he landed some nice takedowns against Jacare Souza, landed some nice takedowns against Andre Muniz. Same thing with Uriah Hall. Like, his wrestling's improving. And of course, we know he has that jiu-jitsu, which is just insane. Like, nobody's going out there and submitting Jacare Souza, let alone just snapping his arm off. So, yeah, Andre Muniz, I think this guy's good. The striking, it's not good, but he's long, he's rangy. But what he wants to do is get the fight down to the mat. And the problem I have with Brendan Allen is I don't think Brendan Allen's going to be able to stuff these takedowns. Brendan Allen, a 50% takedown defense. Like I said, taken down 7 times by Malkoun, taken down multiple times by Dawkins. Holland got him down even. So I think Muniz is going to have no problem getting this fight down to the mat. And when he does, Ailin's a really good grappler. Black belt and BJJ, it's just Andre Muniz is another level above Brendan Allen in the grappling. Andre Muniz's grappling is absolutely no joke. So in a fight where I feel like it's going to hit the mat, I got to favor Andre Muniz, right? And pretty heavily on the mat. But if this fight does play out on the feet, yeah, it's Brendan Allen all day. Allen is a guy that he's a grappler, but he kind of turned into a striker, and his striking's starting to look really good, training at a really good camp, and Andre Muniz has been knocked out 4 times. So, yeah, if this fight played out on the feet, you got to favor Allen. It's just, how is Allen going to stuff all this guy's takedowns? No. Is Allen going to, get back up if he gets taken down? I don't really think so. So, unless Allen is able to keep this on the feet for a long period of time or out-grapple Muniz, which I don't see, either thing happening, I got to pick Muniz here, and I got to pick him to win by submission. So, give me Muniz here. Odds are pretty wide in this one, which kind of surprised me. A lot of people on Brendan Allen this week, but I'm going to take Muniz to win by submission. I just can't, get, like guys like Dux and Malkoon, out-grappling Brendan Allen. I think Muniz is going to be the best pure grappler that Brendan Allen has faced thus far. Muniz's grappling is incredible. So give me Andre Muniz to win. Andre Muniz by, I'll say, first round submission. All right, main event. Nikita Krylov going against Ryan Spann. I did post a more in-depth breakdown on this fight on my channel. If you have not checked it out, go check it out. There's not much to get into, honestly, on this one, but go check that one out. We got Krylov, 30 years old, 6'3", with a 77.5-inch reach, 29-9, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Ryan Spann, 31 years old, 6'5", with an 81.5-inch reach, 21-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Krylov is the favorite, opened up minus 150, currently minus 160, and then Ryan Spann opened up plus 130, currently plus 140. Well, this is going to be a car crash. We have Nikita Krylov, who goes in there in every first round and fights like a complete madman. And we have Ryan Spann, who has not seen a second round in a while. It's been I think 5 or 6 fights since Ryan Spann's seen a second round. I get why Krylov's favored. He should be the minute winner here, although I don't really see this one going the distance. But yeah, Krylov can get takedowns here. But on the feet, I think either guy's liable to knock out the other guy. I think Krylov's more durable on the feet, absolutely more durable. But Ryan Spann has a lot of power, right? So Ryan Spann could potentially catch Krylov, vice versa. On the mat, it's going to be Krylov that's going to be the one getting takedowns. If there are takedowns in this matchup, Krylov's a much better wrestler offensively, and Ryan Spann can be taken down. But the one knock on Krylov, there's actually 2 knocks on him. The first knock on him is his submission defense. Nikita Krylov's submission defense is atrocious. Not only did he get submitted by Paul Craig, and we can forgive him for that, but he's been submitted 4 times in the UFC. He's been submitted 6 times in his career. The guy has 9 losses, and 6 of them come by submission. And that's because he's making bad decisions on the mat. He's putting himself into bad spots. He's leaving his neck out, and Ryan Spann's a really good grappler. A lot of people know Ryan Spann for his power, and rightfully so, but Ryan Spann's finished 57% of his wins by submission, has a very good guillotine, and Nikita Krylov's going to have to mind his P's and Q's here on the mat if he takes it there. I feel like this fight can go either way. I mean, both guys are super dangerous. Both guys can absolutely be finished. I think I might take Ryan Spann here as far as a pick goes, just because on the feet, I think he has the power to really hurt Krylov. And then on the mat, I think he has that guillotine. He has submissions off his back as well. And like I said, Krylov makes mistakes. His fight IQ is very questionable. So I'm going to take Ryan Spann for the upset. But I really feel like this fight can go either way. I get why Krylov's favored, though. He's probably going to get takedowns. He's probably going to win minutes on top. But he's really going to have to mind his P's and Q's. And hard to trust Krylov to mind his P's and Q's, right? So give me Spann. Not a ton of confidence, but I do like violence in this fight, and that's probably going to be a bet for me this week in terms of violence. But the pick is going to be Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, but I'll say by first round submission. All right, we did it. Went through all 13 fights. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. You can check me out on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. I'm posting a ton of content on Instagram nowadays. Also on TikTok, DFS_numbers these days as well. Going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims. I'm not sure when the prelims start, but going live 1 hour prior. If you do want to support me more, like I said earlier, if you guys want to check out dfsbythenumbers.com, you got the stats, you got the articles, the Hail Mary parlay, prelim parlay, main card parlay, the Discord, just a lot of stuff over there on dfsbythenumbers.com. Do appreciate all the current members and everybody that has signed up. But yeah, should be a good card here, a good main card especially. And the next week I have UFC 285. Looking forward to that. Live in person, going to that one. And then, yeah, lots of great stuff coming up. Lots of good cards coming up. These last couple cards have been iffy. A lot of bad matchups, but I think it's going to keep getting better and better. I think it's going to be a really good March as well. We have like 4 really good cards in March, so looking forward to that. But yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC Vegas 70. We'll talk to you soon, and see you later. Enjoy the fights.